There's nothing quite like soloing a game, is there? It doesn't matter what kind of game you're talking about, just the idea of clearing a game only using one of, well, anything really, is such a tempting challenge in and of itself. Viewers of my Kirby content know all about this stuff, what with the copyability spotlights and all, but this extends far beyond just Kirby. I know, I was surprised when I found out too. Character solos in Fire Emblem have been a topic of discussion for a long time now. You often hear players talk about how easy it is to solo Genealogy of the Holy War with Sigurd, for example, and I mean, they aren't wrong. Look at this absolute nonsense. But, I mean, he's on a horse in FE4. Of course he's good. What about soloing a game with a unit that's not so good? They're not very good, but they're really popular, so I can get that easy YouTube money! Nobody fits the description of better than Eirika from Sacred Stones, FE8. At base, her stats are largely unimpressive. Her growth rates over time leaves her very lacking in strength and defense. She's stuck with 5 move for most of the game. The rules for this run are as simple as can be. The only unit we can bring into battle and fight with is Eirika. If we have to bring a unit into battle, so be it, but they can't fight. Worst case, they can get attacked, but they can't fight back. I'd rather avoid them seeing combat altogether, but if it has to happen, so be it. I'm aware that Chapter 5X exists as well, but for the sake of the run, I'm willing to ignore that chapter. Nobody likes it anyway. Also, since Sacred Stones is a game you can easily grind in, for the sake of this run, we're doing main chapters only. No map encounters, no shops, unless they're in the chapter itself, nothing on the map. No Tower of Volney, nothing. Oh, and this will be done on difficult mode, because of course it is. And yeah, I know Sacred Stones is really easy. Shut up! With that said, the prologue. This is a straightforward chapter. Eirika is guaranteed a critical hit here, so be sure to move her. But there are some important things that need to be explained about how we'll be using Eirika first. In particular, how the RN works.
I do not wish to fight, but if I must, then so be it. My swordsmanship may not be refined, but as long as I have my allies, I can... Seth? What are you doing?
Why, he's cursor dancing! See, in GBA Fire Emblem, you can easily manipulate things such as hit rates, crit rates, and even level ups with the proper tools. The game determines these things with a predetermined set of numbers, but to give a short answer, what truly matters here is that we can rig these numbers so that Eirika can get perfect level ups. We do that by cursor dancing. See, when you move a unit, the cursor moves to show you not only where they'll move to, but also how they'll get there. If there's more than one way for a unit to get to where they have to go and you don't make those movements yourself, the game randomly describes how the arrow will move your unit to where they have to go, which goes through the aforementioned list of numbers I was talking about before. So, by doing this, we rig numbers used to do, well, everything. Really helpful considering, you know, it's a solo and all. Eirika's doing this all by herself.
What? I'm fighting a potential war. Alone? There must be some sort of mistake.
No, I was pretty clear before. I'm just using you. Anyway, this pretty much sums up the entire early game. Cursor dance, give Eirika all the swords and healing items, and go to town from there. People die along the way, but getting to see Eirika one-round zombies with an iron sword while taking 0 damage is such a rare sight, especially in the early game, that I can't find myself being too bothered all that much. She doesn't even really have to worry about inventory, since unlike the other GBA games, Eirika is your convoy. She's a monster. Her only issue is that she lacks any kind of 1-2 range, as I said before, but for now, all that really does is add some tedium. The first difficult part comes in Chapter 7, but I can't really say it's hard as much as, can we maybe try to keep Kyle and Ford alive? It's an interesting challenge, maybe, I guess. And even that's pretty easily doable. Eirika just needs to run ahead. One of Kyle or Ford can rescue Ephraim, and they can run away while Eirika takes out the rest. She's hit her level cap at this point, so she's fine. Wow, we're at the route split already? That was quick. Oddly quick, considering it's a character solo.
Well, about that. My brother. He is we would if we could. I'll lead us home. Let's go. Nothing would please me more than running for safety. We've no time to waste. We must hurry to Renval. Let's go rescue my brother. Regardless, I'm finally reunited with my brother. I wonder what he thinks of how powerful I've become. He was hesitant to train me in the ways of the sword.
Wow, she's strong.
Once the route split happens, things start to get a bit more dicey. Again, not in terms of difficulty, but way more enemies start carrying 1-2 range weapons, the map size in general gets bigger, and visiting villages becomes near impossible due to Eirika's very limited movement. Still, this chapter's not a problem at all. It just took me over 20 minutes with speed up being a thing. The next chapter isn't so bad. Just make a beeline for the Seize Point and have Eirika do her thing. But the chapter after that proved to be kind of tricky. That is, until I realized that Dazzle and La Rochelle can be defeated and you don't game over. Then, once I found that out, it was really easy. You notice how we're halfway through the game and these chapters are still really easy with a single unit? Well, the next chapter wasn't a total cakewalk. While I was able to clear it on my first go, Eirika was starting to get hit, taking some real damage. I even had to start healing this chapter. Chapter 12. I couldn't keep Sale alive either. What, who cares? I was really worried that she was going to die against all these gargoyles, but she barely tanked. And from there, the chapter was over. Chapter 13 had to be the funniest chapter I've played in a Fire Emblem game, possibly ever. You need to survive for 10 turns, but because Eirika is so overleveled, I clear the chapter without even moving her. She starts on a forest, so why even bother?
The weather is simply wonderful today. It almost makes me want to forget my worries and relax. I can almost imagine my brother and Leon here with me now.
I was lucky enough to recruit Cormag at least. He died right after, but hey, that's something, right? Chapter 14 is a very long, very boring trek around a largely boring castle, but oddly enough, Eirika handled it fine. These two chapters seem to have weaker enemies compared to Chapter 12, where her bases were starting to look a little iffy. Maybe the rest of the game will be easy. Not quite. Why?
Oh. Sand.
Oh, I got this one. I don't like sand. It's coarse and rough and irritating, and it gets everywhere.
Let's find my brother quickly.
Chapter 15 is the one I was most worried about when I started trying this. Look at this. It has all of the ingredients for a total disaster. It's a desert map, it's a route map, it's overloaded with enemies, there are reinforcements aplenty, Eirika takes an absolute ton of damage from the many powerful lance enemies that prey on her low defense, and best of all, Ephraim, Dusel, and Nal show up on turn 2, and there's nothing you can do about it on this map. No joke, this might be the biggest difficulty spike I've done for any challenge run yet. I went from steamrolling every chapter on my first attempt to spending over an hour for well over 5 attempts just trying to keep everyone alive. Well, for the most part. If Nal or Dusel die, I don't really care, but Eirika and Ephraim get a game over. Plus, you know, keeping Eirika alive is part of the whole Eirika solo thing. Eirika needs to head straight down so that she can help her brother right off the bat, but the problem here is that her movement is so bad. At this point, she's still unpromoted and is stuck with 5 move. The desert at this point doesn't matter too much, but that 5 move is making things really hard. Once the Scrub Brigade shows up, though, things just start to get nasty. Considering that Dusel and Nal can die, the strategy I came up with was pretty simple. Ephraim just so happened to have an elixir on him from Chapter 5X. It did come in handy somewhat, so that went right to Dusel. All of the weapons went to Ephraim, which I had Dusel rescue, and that's it. Well, Nal was useless and died right away, but Dusel just kind of carried from there. Literally and metaphorically, in this case. The wordplay on this channel is beyond anything you'd ever expect.
If General Dusel, my brother's mentor, can't handle the enemy, is it even possible for me to defeat them?
Well, the hard part isn't really keeping Dusel alive. As soon as he gets the chance, he can sit on one of these tiles and not only get defense and avoid, but HP recovery every turn. Considering all of his healing items on top of that, he's fine, but not forever. Ephraim has all of the lances, so if Dusel dies, Ephraim sees combat and fights, which loses me the run. So I have to get Eirika out of the giant lump of enemies quickly so that Dusel can live. Eirika, route enemies. Quickly. She's not promoted yet. She's got 2 chapters left on a desert map. Everything was on a turn-by-turn basis. Sometimes she was better off hiding on a heal tile and chipping whenever she could. There's a lot of 2-range in this chapter. Other times, she had to just run in and hope she didn't get hit. Manipulating the RN is nearly impossible during enemy phase, so I had to hope she felt like dodging many times. Even when the horde of enemies were cleared out and Dusel was safe, Eirika still had to deal with Valter and Kaliak, whatever, as well as some stragglers. The difficult one here was Valter. The random units were random units, thinking they'd be hard by themselves, that's cute, and the other one was just annoying because he can't get crit. Valter, however, hits like a truck, nearly 2-hit KOing her. My healing items were already a little dry from the onslaught she took before, but with some minor calculations, Valter went down. I say a lot that I only like consistent strategies for these runs. I don't like abusing chance. That said, I was actually able to pull this off 3 times in a row. It's ridiculously difficult with Eirika being your only combat unit, but it is doable and it is consistent.
Phew! Finally, it's over. That was a hard-won victory. Let's all regroup and take some time to—
Not so fast, Eirika. The next chapter is really annoying too.
Wonderful.
Well, don't worry too much. It's more doable because Eirika's health is the only thing you have to worry about. Movement, other units, everything interfering with Eirika bopping stuff with her capped strength stat, not an issue. Her stats are just so bad at this point in the game, and promoted enemies are starting to become a bit more common. The start of this chapter is easy, but once you hit that main throne room, Eirika will die fast if you aren't ready. Of course, I was ready, but since this room is so enemy face focused, relying on RN abuse just doesn't work. Of course, manipulating the RN on enemy phase is hard to begin with, but you need to be able to cursor dance in order to do that to begin with. If 4 enemies are surrounding Eirika and nobody else can join in the battle, we have to do it fairly. And by fairly, I mean pumping her with pure water and elixirs. You can try to take Orson on before clearing out the whole room, but the enemies have such high hit rates on her that I don't recommend it. Clearing the room out is difficult to do with a unit like this, but Orson will hit her. He only has 59 displayed hit, but he would just not miss her when I tried. It's like I was playing Binding Blade or something. Either way, you can still take out Orson, seize the throne, and... oh, finally! Yes! Eirika's promoting! Finally! Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go!
For my people,
let's go, do it, Eirika,
for
let's go,
peace,
Eirika, come on,
my
promote,
brother,
promote,
I will
come on,
continue
Eirika,
to
you can
fight.
do it. Come
I
on,
still
come
do
on,
not
come
know
on,
why I
come
must
on,
fight this battle alone. But so long as it is in my power, I will do anything to ensure that we will emerge victorious.
Oh, these stats! They're not real stats, but we can make them better. She's not stuck anymore, and she's on a horse now, and that fixes her movement issues. I'm sure that gives her lances now, too. Oh, why can't she just be like her brother and use lances? Well, whatever. The next chapter is basically nothing but manipulating level ups so that Eirika can wreck face. With her increased movement, cursor dancing is much easier, so getting her good levels wasn't as hard as I thought it would be. Ismair died, and I mean, so did these kids, but it was all for the greater good. She took big damage at first, which worried me, but the more she leveled up, the safer she was. By the end of the map, she was dodging lances, almost one-shotting druids, and even one-rounded Leon. Thanks to a crit, but hey, you know what? It's the effort that counts, right? Eirika didn't hit her level cap, but if there's one level to do that in, it's Chapter 18. Gorgon Eggs Unhatched gives so much EXP, it's insane. It's one of the best designed maps in the game, I feel. Way too long and you miss out on EXP and enemies attack you, but you play recklessly and enemy monsters may overwhelm you. I can afford to play recklessly because I'm abusing the GBA. But in a normal run, this might be my favorite chapter. And sure, the monsters don't pose a big threat, but hey, I still can't attack from 2 range, so Eirika's health did get dangerously low. There's a lot of enemies on this route map, so stuff like this is bound to happen. Anyway, despite all that, it's still not a hard one, aside from this one corner here that almost roughed me up. But without much effort, we can clear Chapter 18 without any Oh, these two. I don't know how I managed to miss them. Oops. Silly Kirby fan. Anyway, let's take care... No. No. No, 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 no! No!
Oh no! I can't reach them! And I came into these caves by myself. Should I call for aid?
No! No. Calm down. Calm down. Think. We can only use Eirika. No bringing other units. She can only use swords, of course. So no 2-range options. Oh, the Reaper card. Anything like the Reaper card in Sacred Stones? No? Okay. The mine glitch wouldn't work here. I think there are mines in this game, but even if there were, it wouldn't work because in the US version of the game, these things have grounded movement. They wouldn't be able to move off of the tile. Oh, maybe there's a 2-range sword in a chest I missed somewhere. I did ignore those towards the end game, you know, all things considered. Let's head to that Fire Emblem wiki to scum some info. Yes, there's 3. Okay, where are they? The Wind Sword is creature campaign, skirmishes. No, it's against the rules. We can't do that. What about the Rune Sword? Same thing. Well, but it's available in chapter 19. So is the light brand. It's impossible. You can't beat Sacred Stones with just Eirika. If you want to treat this as a normal Fire Emblem game where you don't do creature campaigns, skirmishes, anything like that, you need the tower with that 2-range sword to clear the game, which is something I explicitly said I wouldn't do. Well, Eirika's just gonna be stuck in this cave now. Guess.
Wait! You're just going to leave me? Surely you aren't serious.
Unless you could suddenly learn Japanese, no, we're stuck. Alright, fine. I'll just delete the save file because I'm bitter and upset. Oh, I'm so annoyed. I was so close, and the only reason I couldn't do it was because of no 2-range. Ugh. Not giving up. Eirika might not be possible, but there has to be a GBA Fire Emblem where you can solo the game, right? There's Ephraim, I guess, but I'm upset at Sacred Stones. I want to play something else. Hey, how about we go from one of the easiest games in the series to one of the hardest? Yeah, how about instead of Sacred Stones, I try Binding Blade?